Alright, so my friend, again I'll say, you need to get this book, Block the Meaning of Christianity. This is God's Word that He's given me to give to you, and you really need to try to get a copy of it. Block the Meaning of Christianity. You see, I talked last time in my session that, you know, there are two ideals that have the power to spearhead any way of living by human beings. I don't care. There's no way of living that human beings can set out on social order, you know, that they can get to carry out a way of living. Regardless of which social order they decide to choose, that social order will have to be spearheaded out by the idea of something made good, something made an evil, or not made by God, or it has to be spearheaded by the idea of all things made are good and are made by God. Those are the only two ideals. So you see, we don't have to wonder about a whole lot of things when we decide, when we consider the idea that we have got to choose either the one or the other of those ideas. That is automatic, you see. And the caliber of intelligence will tell us today. You see, that's the idea that Jesus brought into the world. You see, He said this is going to offer a whole different way of life. This is going to bring in the kingdom of heaven. You accept this spirit, the spirit of this idea, be born of this spirit, you know, like He told Nicodemus. But the whole world got to be born of that spirit. We are operating on the idea of something made evil or not made by God. You see, now, God has given me that word to bring to you, the same one He gave to Jesus. He's bringing it back. So we should be glad and proud of it. So if you can pass this message along, do it. Because it's God's word. And we all should be glad He's bringing it back. Because this is the only way we can become one with Him. You see? When you accept the idea that all things are of God, then you automatically saying that I'm of God. You see? But you become one with God. Now when God sent Jesus to the world, He showed Him a lot of things. Jesus was a fantastic, brilliant person to tell you. I don't know how He was able to do it. The only thing I can say was He's God's Son, and God was showing Him all these things. He told Him about there'll be wars and rumors of war. And He told us about that, you know, during this period here, right here, when we come to the end of this period in world development. He said there'll be wars and rumors of war. Well, are we not having those now? You see, so you see, Jesus knew things. But see, God, He showed me some things too when He gave me that idea. Things that perhaps He didn't show Jesus. See, those two ideals are the only ideas that you have to spearhead the social order. God's social order is going to be based on the idea of all things of God. That is His social order. Because He's the head. He's the foundation. All things of God. You see, God, this is my foundation. This is my social order. And God has shown me that this is the perfect social order. No other social order in the whole universe can be better than this social order. So if we get this social order in, regardless of where we go out in the universe, there can never be another planet that got a human being like we are, can have another social order that's greater than this social order, because it's the greatest. So you see, God is showing me this to tell you. So we've got to get on this idea. We've got to talk to our nation, our leaders. And that's the only idea that can stop all this war and turmoil in the world. You see, the idea of something made of evil or not made by God, it gives rise to the autonomous self. Not just an individual person as an autonomous self, but it gives rise for each nation to think of itself as an autonomous self. You see, the autonomous self. Because God is not making all things, therefore I'm making myself. I'm a nation that has been built up by individuals, and I'm an individual nation. I'm separated from all the rest of the things. I'm an autonomous self. Therefore, I'm gonna fight against this nation to get the most money, because see, under the idea all they need something that evil and not made by God, the autonomous self, he got to have the most in material and financial wealth to glorify himself. The autonomous self got to be glorified. That's the only way you can do it. And every nation in the world is trying to prosper around, position around, and get more money. That's all they're trying to do. And it will never end. As long as we're under this ideal as I say, all these nations, you know, got one part of the world fighting against the other part of the world, and neither one of those nations gonna lay over and say, okay, you the best. They're telling themselves not gonna allow it to do it. And say for the nation that are fighting against the terrorists. Which one of those nations, like the United States or Europe or anywhere else, gonna just lay back and say, okay, you the best? It'll never happen. But the terrorists would never do it either. You know, and even so, if we wipe out the terrorists, then what about the nation that remains? You think that they're gonna let this nation be? You think Russia will ever let United States be greater than it? Or China let Russia or United States be greater than it? It's gonna always be a struggle. As long as we got that autonomous myself, following the idea of something made of evil not made by God. So we'll never end this. And people of the world that want a democracy. I heard somebody say on television that democracy is not what governments do, it's what people do. If we sit back and let this happen, then we're going to continue to have this. As individuals, we got to get involved. And we have got to get our nation to see before that the world really boils up, and then people in America start getting killed. It's on its way here. You know, all these other nations. This thing is not going to simmer down. As long as we honor the idea of something made of evil or not made by God, just give rise to that autonomous self, we're going to continue to escalate this struggle until eventually we're going to feel up in here. We start getting killed, you know, over here in America and other countries. So we need to get involved as citizens in a democracy. Because our democracy is what people do. Not what government. We control the government. The government doesn't control us. You see? We got ways that we can get our leaders to do what we want them to do. So if we want them to go out and publish what Jesus said, that all things are of God, you can't prove it, but you can't prove it's not. If we want our government to get the world to look at that and come towards peace, because that idea will bring peace. If you believe God is making all things, it will one body. But it will affect me, it will affect you. So I'm not going to hurt you because I'm going to hurt me, you know. So see, that's the only thing that can bring peace. We can do this. But you sit back and go to, well, never mind. So I'm not going to try to make these sessions too long, so I'll talk a little bit more on that tomorrow. But we have got to do something. We've got to stop praying to God to stop all this. He's already given us the answer. He gave it through Jesus. Now we've got to get that idea out. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. Oh, it's going to happen. God never fails. You know, but it sure would be nice if you'd be a part of it. All right.